Welcome to today's presentation. My name is Rob van Tulder. I'm a professor in International Business Society Management at the Rotterdam School of Management of the Erasmus University. I'm also the academic director of the Partnerships Resource Center, where we study partnerships for sustainable development. In this presentation, I'd like to talk to you about problems, and in particular about wicked problems. Well, most of today's challenges related to sustainable development, such as climate change, poverty, health, hunger, are actually wicked. But what does that mean? This video should help you to distinguish between simple, complex and wicked problems. You will learn how to identify wicked problems by the characteristics that define them and how to assess the degree of wickedness of such problems. You will see, however, that wicked problems represent opportunities as well. So, in today's world, we face many problems. Some problems are simple. They are relatively easy to solve and there is a more or less standard protocol to do so. Say for instance, you have made soup. It tastes a bit bland. You solve that problem by adding salt. If the same thing happens with another dish, you can use that same strategy, and by repeating this, you will be perfect in your cooking. Complex problems are different. There's no strict protocol to follow. Every problem will be unlike another. There is a much higher level of uncertainty. An example that is often used here is that of raising a child. Expertise can come in handy, but will not be sufficient. And what works well with one child might not be helpful with the other. Also, having raised one child successfully does not guarantee anything for the next. One level up, we are talking about wicked problems. Wicked problems are not only hugely complex, but even resist defining. Solutions are not readily available, they require other ways of thinking, but also need the involvement of a variety of interested parties to work together. Well, most of today's problems of sustainable development are all connected with each other. They occur at societal interfaces, in particular the interface between the public and the private, and between the for-profit and the non-profit. This implies that different societal sectors are always involved. Wicked problems are not easy to address, let alone solve. Wicked problems often require large systems change. Otherwise, they would have been already tackled by firms, governments, or civil society or community organizations individually. Let's explore a little further what exactly makes a problem wicked. Based on our research, we have come up with 10 characteristics of wickedness. We'll go over them one by one. Wicked problems are symptomatic, meaning that every wicked problem can be considered to be a symptom of another wicked problem. Wicked problems are interrelated. They cannot be understood in isolation. They are linked to other problems, and this makes information on them often incomplete or contradictory. They are continuous. They have no stopping rule. There's always a better approach possible, and as such, the problem is never fully solved. There are no right or wrong solutions. There's no optimal or final and correct solution, only better or worse approaches. Because people will have different views of the problem, they will also have different ideas about the quality of any approach. Denial is likely to occur. People can experience considerable psychological barriers to addressing the problem. This can make them deny the problem as their own responsibility. Or worse, they might deny that there is a problem at all. Each wicked problem is unique. It is always relatively novel, therefore one of a kind and strongly context dependent. Wicked problems are associated with a mixed understanding. All involved parties might see things differently, and how one understands the wicked problem determines, of course, the way one can approach the problem. Multiple explanations and resolutions are always possible. Wicked problems are without an ultimate test of an approach, so there is no way to decide what approach is best. Wicked problems can be met with approaches, but not with solutions. And finally, wicked problems are characterized by diverse responsibilities. There are always multiple stakeholders involved who have diverging interests in and different explanations for the appearance of the problem. Stakeholders are often part of the problem as well as part of the solution, and thus they have different responsibilities. The saying goes even that wicked problems are so complex that you have to be highly intelligent and well informed just to be undecided about them. Well, but some problems are, however, more wicked than others. Not all equally wicked. There are various degrees of wickedness depending on a number of characteristics. First, the degree of wickedness can be assessed on the basis of how the problem scores on each of the 10 general characteristics that we just discussed. See this example. By intuitively counting the scores for these characteristics, a first impression of the degree of wickedness can be created. There is a second assessment technique available. Wicked problems, as said, occur at the interface between the public and the private. Different societal sectors are always involved. It is, for instance, common to distinguish between 3 societal sectors: state, markets, and civil society. The better each of these sectors functions, the more balanced a society becomes, and the more easily wicked problems can be addressed. These 3 sectors each supply particular goods and services, and thereby add value to society. Markets produce private value, civil society social value, and governments organize the provision of sufficient public goods. A balanced society includes well-functioning sectors that complement one another. If any of these sectors do not function properly, however, societal problems become more wicked. 3 specific sources of societal wickedness are failure, lack of sectoral responsibility, and what I would call collective action problems. Failure occurs when the sectors do not supply the goods and services they are supposed to provide. Well, this happens, for instance, when companies do not sell to potential customers, or abuse their market power, or when civil society organizations do not manage to organize citizens around a particular topic. Responsibility issues are more difficult to address. They relate to the unwillingness of a sector to extend its influence beyond its primary stakeholders. Firms can, for instance, extend their positive influence on society by targeting latent societal demands and needs, for which there is not yet a market. But they can also make sure that they take care of the pollution they produce, even when they are not required to do so by law. Finally, collective action issues. They are the most difficult to address. Here, participation of all societal actors is necessary, but not all sectors might feel responsible. They might not feel willing or not even able to engage. This is the case for most climate issues. It is also known as the bystander effect. That is, nobody wants to take the risk to solve the issue. And in the end, we are all worse off. The more each of these 3 issues appear at the same time, the more wicked a problem becomes. Addressing a potential wicked problem through the 3 layers of this triangle helps you further understand the wickedness of the problem, as well as which sectors are needed to address it and in what way. Wrapping up, we see that wicked problems are cross-sectoral. They are universal and therefore require change that systematically involves stakeholders from every part of organized society, for profit, non-profit, public and private organizations. But some problems are more wicked than others, depending on the characteristics of the problem itself, but also on the societal actors involved. I have shown you how you can assess the wickedness of a problem. This assessment also helps you to understand which stakeholders you need in order to further address the problem. By now, you should be able to understand what wicked problems are and how they can be addressed. Want to know more? Well, at the website of the Partnerships Resource Center, you can find a booklet that explains the formula of the Wicked Problems Plaza. It shows how to assess the wickedness of a problem, but also how to address them in a constructive manner. Good luck!